Welcome to Meat and Potatoes, where we only cover the meat and potatoes. This is for business professionals, sales professionals, small startups to large enterprises. This first example is a Grant Cardone example. Some of you like them, some of you don't. It is what it is. The content is great and the points are valid. Let's go.
When I go into a company, what I'm looking for is the real problems. The people in the business don't know the problems. If they knew the problems, they wouldn't have them.
This is all facts. Sometimes you're too close to the fire to recognize what the issue is. Or sometimes you know what the problems are and you're too proud to step up and say what the problems are or to take action.
So what I do is I go into a company and identify real, actual problems. I tell you what, rather than me telling you, follow me. I'll show you what I do. This is the sales department, okay? I'm gonna blow in on the sales department and show them how to sell something. That's gonna increase morale, it's gonna drive revenue, and it's gonna make the business successful. That's what people all over the world are not doing.
Sales meeting every day for 2 years.
This is a guy on a phone call right now. He's having trouble. Okay, I'm going to intervene. I'm going to drop in, not discuss after. I'm going to drop in during the call.
Once again, facts. There's a lot of sales managers out there that will not step up and do this. Either one, they don't have the skill set to do so. They got to that position some other kind of way. Who knows how they got there? Two, they think that they're above everyone and they will never want to go out and actually perform the work again because they think that they're above that now. Three, they just flat out don't have the skill set to go out and do so. So they sit in their chair and they try to bark off orders.
Do this. I'll give you a call at the end of the month and then we can see where we're at and see if things change.
Let me hit that call.
Go ahead, jump right in there. You see that your salesperson is having an issue. You see that your salesperson is about to let this customer walk or get off the phone, however you want to call it. Now, what a lot of you sales managers would have done is let your salesperson get off the phone. Then you guys would have got all over his neck. You guys would have crapped him out for the rest of the day, took him completely off the market instead of jumping in and trying to help.
Oh,
Hey.
Really?
This is Carlos.
Hey, Carlos.
Hey, your business is
Yes, sir.
Grant Cardone here. How you doing?
This ain't Grant Cardone.
more familiar.
Yes, this is.
Boss jumps in there, shocks the customer completely. The customer was on his way out. Mindset was to get off the phone already. This phone call was over with. The boss jumps in there, rejuvenates the whole deal.
If he sees a
Is
salesperson,
he Grant Cardone?
This is Grant Cardone, sir.
or a certain type of
Oh, my
client,
God.
then you
Grant
can
Cardone,
log
the
line,
Grant
just send
Cardone.
it right here. Put your hand. Why are you handing on your lawsuit?
But I never thought I'd be talking to you on the phone. I'm always talking to your people.
On average, they're 5.
Well,
How many people are working for you there, bro?
You know what? You're talking to me right now. Hey, and the reason I'm jumping on this call, Carlos, is because I heard Jared say something about he's going to call you back next month.
Perfect. So he's thrown it back into the customer's lap. He let the customer know right off the top that you were getting off the phone and I'm getting on the phone because you were getting off the phone. And I want to know why you're getting off the phone and you haven't purchased anything.
300 videos.
Yeah, I just need some time to look at this thing, man. I want to finish out my month.
Okay, but let me ask you something. Why did you look at it in the first place?
This is how fact finding goes. This is the beginning of it. You have to be knowledgeable and not afraid to ask the correct questions. And a lot of people are afraid to ask this specific question. Why did you look at it in the first place? Where did your interest come from? Why are you interested in it? These are the questions that a lot of salespeople are afraid to ask because they think that they're going to come off the wrong way when this is just a regular question.
Well, I have an interest in training, man. I have an interest in getting my people trained.
And why do you have an interest in getting your people trained?
This is how fact finding starts out. These are the questions. You have to ask the correct questions. You can't be afraid to ask these questions. There's a lot of salespeople that will be afraid to ask that upfront, regular, simple question. And these are the questions that you need the customer to answer in order for you to find out if you have a real buyer in front of you and how close this buyer is to actually pulling the trigger. So these questions have to be asked because you have to have the answers to these questions in order to actually close the customer correctly.
Well, obviously, the better trainer or the more revenue it is, the less expensive.
Okay, so what's important to you? What problem are you trying to solve?
Now, these are the two big questions. A lot of you salespeople will be afraid to ask this question. There's a lot of you sales managers out there that will be afraid to ask these two questions. But these two questions need to be asked because these are the two answers that you really need in order to serve this customer correctly.
ticket for
Well,
one of your
I want to get them to be able to handle all the situations that they encounter, man. I want to get my green peas better tracked. I want to get my veterans excited again. You know, I mean, I'm trying to survive like anybody, man. I'm trying to expand my...
Good. And Carlos, excuse me, but do you feel like you're missing opportunities right now?
This is where you really have to know your market. You really have to know where these customers are coming from, where this customer's pain point is, and you have to start to bridge the gap. This is how you serve the customer. You have to know where he's at, where he's trying to go, and you have to know the space in between that you're gonna have to fulfill to get this customer across the bridge.
Yes.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, we all do.
Good. So you didn't call Jared, you didn't show interest in our product because you wanted to save money. You called Jared because you want to increase your income.
This is a skill technique that he's doing right here. He's shifting the customer from an expense mindset to a value cost mindset.
By your revenue, by having your people better handle situations, get your veterans experience, and get your newer salespeople trained.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, but I just don't want to spend as much on your product as what he's asking too. I mean, can't you guys do better now? $1,500 a month's pretty high, man.
Well, the $1,500 a month, that's your objection, is the cost?
You have to pinpoint it. The customer said it, pinpoint it. Don't be afraid of it. Let's talk about it. Is that what's stopping you? Is the cost stopping you? You have to shine the light on it. You have to sit it right in front of the table and let's discuss it. Because if that's what's stopping us from moving forward, then let's figure it out. A lot of salespeople will run away from it. Or a lot of salespeople will begin discounting and trying to lower the price in order to close the customer.
See, he's moved already.
Well, that's one of the objectives. Sure. You know, $1,500 a month. I just kind of wrap my arms around that.
Yeah, well, let me explain to you that it's not $1,500 a month, it's $36,000.
Is that yourself?
Plus the $4,000 startup fee, which means it's $40,000. I need you to think about a $40,000 decision, not a $1,500 a month decision.
Shift the customer completely. The customer is thinking a short-term expense. Take them off that short-term expense mindset and put them onto a long-term value cost.
You're going to be on this program 2 years, not 1 month.
Find out where the customer is. If you don't find out where this customer is, you're not going to be able to close them.
If you're not going to be on it 2 years, you need to tell me that up front, because then we don't need to do it. It won't work anyway.
Tell them the truth, but first, use the takeaway on them. Let them know that this isn't a magic trick. This isn't going to happen overnight. This is a long-term commitment. And if that's not what you're looking for, this product's probably not going to work for you. You have to be honest with your customer. And again, you have to find out where this customer is and be honest with the customer.
Let me ask you a question, Carlos.
I will.
When's the last time your company spent $40,000?
Thank you.
This is another smooth technique. Put that customer in the mindset of the last time they spent $40,000 and position your product or service in that same space.
We probably spend almost that a month on advertising.
Have you ever had it not work?
That's another good question.
Well, you can't ever really put a finger on it, but I'm sure it's working somehow. We want to keep spending the money.
Right. So look, you're going to spend $40,000 to train your people over 2 years. To handle every opportunity that comes to you, and you spend $480,000 in the same period of time on advertising. This represents basically 8% of your ad budget.
You really have to know your numbers and be on top of your shit in order to put things in perspective for that customer right off the bat. You have to be smooth and quick, a sniper with it.
Do you want to train your people? Do you want them motivated? If so, if you're going to do this sooner or later, I'm going to suggest, and that's why I'm getting on the call, take time out of the equation and let's do this.
After putting out fire after fire after fire, you definitely have to shoot your shot. You have to go for the close. You cannot be afraid to ask for the money. That's probably the biggest issue with salespeople, is that you're afraid to ask for the money. Ask for the money, ask for the close. Because if you've done enough, you deserve to ask for the business. You have to ask for the business.
The reason I got on the call was to assure you that I'm here to support you and help you.
Get into bed with the customer. Make sure that they know that you're serious about your work, that you're serious about what you do, that you're not going to leave them, that you're going to be there for them, that you're going to do everything to make sure that they're successful, everything in your power to make sure that things work correctly as you say they're going to work.
Look, Carlos,
Tell them to fax me a contract. Jesus Christ.
Carlos, I appreciate your business.
Do not over pitch. Do not pitch past the close. Recognize the close and do not pitch past the close. A lot of you out there will continue talking and pitch past the close.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay, and also,
Great
hey,
talking to you, man. I can't believe I got a chance to talk to you. That was dynamite, man.
Hey, let me-
Appreciate you getting on the phone.
well, that's what everybody should be doing right now to make businesses work so they survive and prosper. What's your home address? I want to send you something personal for me.
This is a smooth technique to try to make sure your customer is locked down as tight as you can possibly get them. After making a purchase, who doesn't want a gift? This is a technique that every business should be using. Every sales professional should be using. Find a way to make that customer feel happy about what they're doing and give them something that they weren't expecting.
You got horses?
Yes, sir, I do.
What's the zip code again? I missed it.
77478.
Okay, good. Do you have any concerns about doing this?
This is something that everyone should be doing, but you have to know your shit in order to pull this off. A lot of you guys aren't used to closing, and you guys will be afraid to ask any questions that you think will unravel that deal. It's a question that should be asked on every single transaction. It's a way of showing the customer that you actually care and that you have a concern about their concerns. You just didn't hear a yes and you're running just to try to get this thing closed up as soon as possible.
No, man, my concern was the money, but I mean, the way you explained it to me, it makes sense, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's right. Would there be
It's a
any
marketplace.
right? Would there be any reason you would change your mind?
Again, ask these questions because if this deal is going to unwind, you want to try to catch it at the earliest stage you can possibly catch it at. So if this customer is going to start to unwind in the next couple hours or not feel confident or have questions that possibly were not answered, you need to know these questions as soon as possible to try to nip that in the bud. Because if this thing was going to unwind, you need to know as soon as you possibly can to try to catch that and put that fire out. Again, a lot of you salespeople, a lot of these sales managers out here would never ask this question. They would be afraid to ask this question because you're not that confident in your craft, because you're not that confident in your communication. You're not that confident in addressing issues and being able to handle the customer and overcome whatever objections are thrown at you.
No, man, I'm not going to change my mind. Let's go forward. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
I'm sending it to you right now. Thank you so much for your business, and look for your mailbox. Look in your mailbox for something special.
Mary,
Thank you, man. Great talking to you.
Okay, thank you. So, you see, what we do is, look, it's not always going to work like that, but if the executive drops in, brings in the altitude, brings in the enthusiasm, even if I would have failed, I restore my sales department.
Every owner, sales manager, everyone involved, upper management, whatever your title is, everyone should hear that. And everyone should understand that. The big problem with a lot of upper management is that you forgot what it was like to stand on the front line, and you forgot what it was like to actually speak to a customer, to actually overcome objections in front of a customer, and you're afraid of it. So you would never go out there and support your sales staff in that fashion and show them in that fashion and rejuvenate them in that fashion and coach them in that fashion. Step it up. Once again, only meat and potatoes. We only serve the meat and the potatoes.